That's my new theme song.
Oh,
Hi.
is that your new theme song?
We're back on with Dishing It Out with David and Nikki Nellis. Welcome back. Everybody's chowing down on Georgetown Bagelry Bagels, and we've got gin lined up and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be some kind of show.
Well, and actually, I'm taking pictures sort of throughout the show, and I'm putting them up on Twitter. So if you want to see what it looks like in studio, you can get a look there.
Social media. Well, I just want to say that while I was at home teaching our children family values and making sure their education was moving along right, you were out gallivanting most of the week.
Not always. Curiously,
what did you do that really was the best?
Well, my favorite part this week was we went to Post in the Monaco Hotel. It's a Kimpton property, and they do what they call the Post Roast. And this is something you have to order in advance, and you can order a whole pig, a whole goat, or a whole lamb. And we did the pig, and they brought this magnificent, huge pig to our table that was completely roasted by Chef Rob Wieland. And it's in this gorgeous garden with lots of, they have this terrific herb garden and vegetable garden. They have cherry trees. It's just a magnificent setting. And it was just a fun night. I would love to do another party there.
Don't you feel bad? Pigs are smarter than dogs.
No, I don't feel bad. They were delicious.
Okay, let's get into the show.
Delicious and nutritious.
I want to tell you something. Gin is going to be a big theme here today. Beefeater 24 is a new luxury gin with a twist. Its creator, Desmond Payne, is one of the world's leading gin master distillers, and Desmond is in the studio with us today to talk about what it takes to make and succeed with a new brand of gin. And we're fairly certain we'll be taste testing a good deal of it, I hope.
Or at least smelling it. And it is the Chilean bicentennial. Excuse me. I know, right? And we are so fortunate because we have Chef Pilar Rodriguez. She is considered one of Chile's leading culinary ambassadors, sort of a Rachel Ray or Paula Deen wrapped up in one great big chef. But she is here to tell us all about the celebration. She's going to be at the Chilean embassy all week long, cooking up great eats. And she brought in some lovely wine and Chilean products, and we're going to learn all about it in just a little bit. Also, for a number of years, you may have heard of Ethan McKee. He was a key player in.
I have.
You have. Well, we've met him before.
And he's here.
He is here. He was in Todd Gray's kitchen, and he was behind the stove at Rock Creek Mazza Gallery. But these days, you'll find him turning out French and American cuisine at DC's Circle Bistro. So he's in with us today, and he brought along some terrific food, which I've already taken some pictures of and put up on Twitter.
All right, and also, it may sound sort of weird for us to be talking about a fashion event, but Tyson's...
Not to me.
Well, not
fashion
to you.
Is right up my alley.
Get that credit card out, baby.
Second passion.
Tyson's Galleria is going to be hosting an event called All Access Fashion. It's a 3-day fashion and trend event that, surprise, surprise, also features some great foods and wines. We're going to hear all about it, and we've also got Kirk Wiles in. Kirk is one of the founders of Paradise Springs Winery, and they're a featured presenter at the event, and he's in with some wine that we'll be sampling that will be featured at the event.
Hi.
So,
how's it going? Good morning.
How are you? Thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
All right, so tell us how you got involved in this all-fashion event.
Well, actually, I've known Abba for a few years. Used to work with
Abba, get up to the mic.
Fashion for Paws with her, and she working with her and Nicole over at the Tyson's Galleria, helping them to bring some Virginia wines to the table and really reach a new market for us. We're a brand new winery, and just love working with them up there.
When you say you're a brand new, right, fashion and cuisine.
Absolutely.
I mean, the models may not eat, but everybody else does. But they drink. Abba, get up to the mic. Tell us a little bit about All Access Fashion.
Well, All Access Fashion is a 3-day fashion and trend event taking place from September 30th through October 2nd at Tyson's Galleria. We've got runway shows, we've got branded lounges and experiences, and we've got fantastic restaurants and dining opportunities there as well. So we've got Patricia Field, the famous redhead costume designer behind Sex and the City and The Devil Wears Prada, making a grand appearance on October 1st.
Cool.
Yeah, keep her away from my wife.
Nikki, I got you.
I know. I
we'll do this together. We're not listening.
Back her out.
But on that night when Patricia is there, we're having a great reception where Kirk and Paradise Springs Winery will be there serving up the best wines. And excuse me for that. We've got a real winery with us with real grapes.
Somebody's watching The Housewives. Okay. Well, Kirk, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be pouring first.
I actually brought 2 wines today, a white and a red. We have our 2008 Chardonnay. Actually, the 09, which is just unreleased of this wine, just took a gold medal in the Virginia Governor's Cup wine competition, recognized as one of the top 15 white wines in the state of Virginia. This is the vintage year before that, as we're not, haven't been released yet.
Okay.
The other red we brought is the 2008 Cabernet Franc, which is drinking very nicely right now. Cabernet Franc's actually what we have planted on our property, and actually very tired this morning because we had our very first harvest.
Oh, congratulations.
Got up at 6 a.m. this morning with a big team, and we got out there and clipped all the grapes and ahead of the weather, and we're very excited about that. And this wine actually just won a gold medal at the Atlantic Seaboard Wine Competition, recognized as one of the best Cab Francs on the East Coast.
Well, good for you.
So we're excited to pour these for you guys.
All right, well, let's get a sip
All
of
right.
that.
Absolutely.
Well, let's move from wine to gin.
Let's move from wine to gin. I feel like we've been talking gin all morning.
We were, because we were out last night drinking gin. All right.
So Desmond Payne is renowned as a gin master distiller, and he is the creator of Beefeater Gin's new Beefeater 24. Now, first and foremost, we have to ask, what is a gin master distiller?
Well, in a word, it's the distiller who makes gin.
Okay, thank you.
But,
next guest.
I've been making gin for 43 years, just clocked up now. So when you sort of have been doing it for a while, I guess you get the hang of it, and you get to be called a master distiller.
But is there some sort of class you need to take in order
No.
to, I mean, how do you get into it? How do you get started with it?
Really by doing it. I mean, I started off in the wine business more years ago than I'm going to admit, but
Okay.
I've kind of blown it already. My first job was in Harrods store in London, way down below the store where they used to bottle their own wines. And I was really interested in wine. I then joined a company who were wine merchants, and they had a gin distillery, and I kind of slithered across into gin and enjoyed it and stayed there.
Now, when did you get involved with Beefeater?
I got the call to come and run the Beefeater distillery in London, right in the heart of London. And it's a great challenge, and I thought, yep, that sounds like a good job. And a lot of it was really just keeping the founder's recipe going, and that's what a spirit is, that's what a brand is.
Because how old is Beefeater?
Beefeater goes back to about 1860.
Okay.
So it's, about 150 years old.
Well, Beefeater is iconic in the gin world. So how did he gin up his first gin? What did he do?
It was a guy called James Burrough, the founder, and he actually trained as a pharmacist, and then came over to Toronto, spent a couple of years here, came back to London and bought a gin distillery in Chelsea. And he very quickly put together his own recipe, which we still use. It hasn't changed. It's exactly the same as it was. Actually, in my office at the distillery, his portrait hangs opposite my desk. And if ever I'm kind of tempted to put in another scoop of juniper or orange peel or something, the eyebrows are going, and there's going to be trouble. So
You're saying that
my
the
job
photo,
to keep
that
it the
it
same.
actually moves? That's terrifying.
Sometimes
gin,
in the
not
late
acid,
afternoon,
right?
I've noticed a couple of movements here.
All right. Well, I have
go
a
ahead.
question because with something so iconic, why mess with it? What was the impetus to create sort of a new version of Beefeater?
Okay, so I mean, the first thing I should say is that Beefeater original is exactly the same. Keeping the portrait happy is
Right.
okay. But we saw the need, I guess, about 2-3 years ago to do something in, if you can call it such, the super premium category. It wasn't really happening much with gin. It was happening certainly with vodka. We were seeing vodkas go off into the stratosphere in terms of new brands.
So many new brands, but not only that, older brands were doing new renditions, whether it was with vanilla or blueberry. I mean, there were all these different flavors. But isn't that kind of because vodka doesn't have any taste, really, so it takes other flavors?
Well, it has character. It doesn't really have much taste. I mean, it's a very different drink.
No slam to vodka, just so you know.
But, I mean, people got interested in flavored vodkas because it added more character, I guess.
I disagree. I think it's because it made it easier to drink. I mean, particularly for 20-somethings who didn't want to, because vodka is tough. Even when you freeze it, it's tough. It still has that sort of that laid-back kerosene kind of taste, which gin doesn't have.
Absolutely. And the great thing about gin is because there are so many different ingredients in it, then it has a really good balance, which means it can work in many directions in cocktails. Goodness, we're seeing such an interest in cocktails again, and in gin. There are new gins coming out all the time.
Well, so let's talk about what's in Beefeater 24 and how it differs from the original.
Okay, so my challenge then, having made gin for 40 years, was to make a new gin. And I thought, great, my turn at last. And the first thing I did was to turn James Burrow's founder's portrait to the wall. No influence coming. And then I thought, right, what do I do? And when you kind of analyze it, there are only two things that make one gin different to another. First is, what are the flavors, what are the botanicals that you use? You must use juniper, but anything else you want, as long as it's decent, honest, and legal, you can use it in gin.
Okay.
And the other thing is then how you make it. So I kind of waited for that light bulb moment for the inspiration to come. And it really came from a few years earlier. I was in Japan doing some seminars and things, and they work you hard in Japan. And at the end of the day, I was ready for my Beefeater and tonic. Beefeater fine, number one gin. Tonic not so fine, because in Japan they don't allow quinine.
Oh, interesting.
So tonic water is different, so gin and tonic is different, so I'm not happy. So what else can I put in my gin? Looking around, green tea, iced lemon tea. Tried that, realized it worked really well, complementary flavor. So I thought, why not use tea as a botanical in the distillation process rather than as a mixer afterwards?
So does that mean, when you're distilling, does that mean the tea is sort of steeped?
Yep. One of the very important things we do for Beefeater is when we charge our stills with pure alcohol and all the botanicals that go in to make it flavored, we leave it for 24, that's where the name comes from, 24 hours to really develop the flavors in the still.
Oh, okay.
So all the botanicals go in, including the tea, and then it's distilled as...
But there's no color. It's completely clear still.
Anything distilled is watercolor.
Okay.
If it comes in the bottle as a different color, something has happened to it after distillation.
Let me ask a question about juniper. Because is there juniper and juniper, or any juniper will do? I mean, do you have to have organic juniper with no... I mean...
I didn't know where you were going.
What kind of a question? No. Well, obviously, juniper is the main flavor.
I didn't say Jupiter. I said juniper.
It's pretty much organic because juniper is not cultivated. It grows wild.
Right.
So we've no control over our main botanical.
So
mostly for gin, it comes from Italy. And right now, actually, I hope they're harvesting juniper. They just go up over the hillsides in Umbria and they find the juniper bush. It's a little thorny shrub. I'm sure you've seen it. And they just hold the end of the branch and they knock the berries off with a stick and put it into a sack, and that's it.
Really?
And I look at when I get back, about 150 samples of this year's crop, put together a blend that will create the style I need to keep Beefeater gin consistent, keep the guy in the portrait happy.
So there could be minute changes every year based on your product. Just eventually what you get in.
Because, out of 150 samples, I may only buy 5 and create a blend.
Okay.
So it's like blending tea. There's the similarities coming through here.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we have to take a quick break. But when we come back, we are going to get a taste of the differences of the Beefeater regular London Dry Gin and the Beefeater 24. We're also going to be talking with Chilean chef Pilar Rodriguez. This is David and Nikki Nellis with Dishing It Out. We'll be back in just a sec.